Hey everybody, it's your boy King Kaiju here, and today we're taking a look at the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Obviously, comparisons with the Star Wars Holiday Special are inevitable, so let's see how that plays out. Alright, so don't know if you guys can notice or not, but in honor of the holiday season, I have worn my Godzilla Destroying Santa Claus t-shirt. Yes. Never let it be said that I don't get into the spirit of the holiday season. Now, before we begin this, I gotta ask everybody checking this out, please, if you could, subscribe, activate that reminder notification bell, and like the video. It really helps me out. I'm trying to get things going here. All right. So, we start this special off with some, to be honest with you, really crappy quality animation of a younger Peter Quill and Raglan trying to do Christmas and Yondu interrupting it, showing what a big colossal jerk he is. Now, I know some people will be like, oh, no, the animation's supposed to be that way on purpose. It's like the 80s, you know, because Peter Quill's the 80s. It's like, no. We're not in the 80s anymore. Spend the money. Make yourself some nice animation. Then we roll out and, you know, we basically have this intro with this band, some band, I guess, you know, James Gunn likes them, and they tell Peter Quill, oh, we made Earth instruments. What? And now we're going to play them perfectly for this opening song montage. It's like, oh, God. And it's during this that we begin to see where things are getting a little bit awry. We get to meet the new Groot, who is, I guess, a teenager, clearly very roided out, and has been reduced to little more than just a headbanger. Not a good one at that. Going a little further into the story, we get to meet Cosmo, and don't you know, got to make some changes to that as well. The first choice is an odd one. Cosmo's no longer Russian, which he's called Cosmo because he's a cosmonaut, right? He's Russian. Like, we really don't know why that change was made. But then, in proud MCU tradition, Cosmo's now a girl. Yes. In the comic books, innumerable times, Cosmo has been called he. Cosmo is based on the cosmonaut dog that was sent into space by the Russians. That is a he. Okay. And I get that, you know, there's this big, huge MCU push, but to a dog? I mean, are the female dogs of Twitter going to be upset that they're not represented? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, but yes, this is the level that the MCU has now reached, where we are even gender swapping dogs. And with that, we're off to the races. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Mantis now has mind control powers. Any explanation? None whatsoever. But basically, she decides that because Quill'S had such a horrible childhood, whatever, that, they should get him a Christmas present in the form of human being Kevin Bacon. And so, yes, her and Drax decide that they should go kidnap Kevin Bacon. They go to Earth. There's a bunch of silliness, including an insanely pointless bar scene. And what I say is, like, they go into a bar, they drink a lot, they dance a lot. That's it. Like, there's no reason for this scene. I mean, you talk about filler. Good Lord. But I guess filler is the name of the game, because before that, they make money by posing for photos. Just like, what? Okay. Very confusing, very pointless. Finally, they're given a map to the stars, which just has the exact location of Kevin Bacon's address, and they go to kidnap him. All right, if you thought things were silly before, buckle up, boys and girls, because we start this thing off very deliberately and forcefully with them not being able to get access because Kevin Bacon won't let him in. So Mantis is like, oh, Drash, can you throw me over this gate? He's like, yeah, sure. But doesn't warn her, throws her over, she lands, ha ha ha. Okay, we're going to come back to this in a minute, so don't worry about it. Then they bust into his house, do a silly chase where Mantis can stick to walls now, I guess, sort of. It's beyond stupid, but somehow Kevin Bacon gets away from these two, and then runs into the cops that he wisely had called, and basically, in a nutshell, Drax kills the cops. I mean, just to the point where Mantis says, "You killed the cops. We shouldn't do that," right? So, does anybody, especially James Gunn, remember Guardians of the Galaxy 1 at the end, where basically the Nova Corps says, "Yeah, you've been exonerated, but if you do any more crimes, we're gonna bust your ass." And Drax even asks, "Can I kill somebody?" And they go, "No." And he's like, "Oh, okay." But here, it's cool. And it's cops, too. Like, what? Seriously? Really? Yeah. Insulting, bust of willing suspension of disbelief. Nonetheless, Mantis finally, touches Kevin Bacon and says, "You're going to come with us?" He's like, "Okay, cool, because you can control me now." And boom, they're back, heading to nowhere to give Peter Quill his human present. All right, so back on Nowhere, they have a Christmas party that is the most insane, elaborate Christmas party. The entire town of Nowhere. Don't even get me started on how they're using just a microcosm of Nowhere. It doesn't matter. What matters is how long was Kevin Bacon kidnapped? Weeks? I mean, I don't know, because this was really elaborate. There was a lot of lights and decorations and everything else. It was just it's unbelievable. In the midst of all this, there's this quote big reveal unquote that Mantis is Quill's sister. Yawn. I mean, really, honestly, not surprised. Doesn't change anything about either character. Maybe they'll do some silly thing in part 3 where he, can't do something because it's his sister or some crap like that. I don't know, but why would that change? She's your teammate as well. So, duh. I don't know. It's supposed to be heartwarming, supposed to be touching, maybe sort of retch in my mouth a bit. But on top of that, let's see. Nebula gives Rocket Bucky's arm. Right, okay. So Bucky has no arm now? Because I don't imagine that there was a lot of, spare vibranium arms laying around. And then, of course, the question of how on Earth she got it, specifically, on Earth, stole it, kicked his ass. I mean, nothing. Just here you go. Knock yourself out. Have a good time. It just, the whole thing, it was a mess. And I hate to say this, but in all honesty, the Guardians, with possibly exception of Peter, I mean, he was still pretty close to character, maybe Nebula a little bit, but the rest, they kind of lost their charm. It sounds strange, but I mean, that was the real kicker, was that these were, I know that they were assholes in the first, but they weren't. They were genuinely, flawed but likable and sincere characters, And now they're kidnapping people, killing cops, stealing arms, reduced to, headbanging steroided out teenagers with no person. I guess Rocket was still Rocket, but wasn't in it that much. Yeah, I don't know what made them make the decisions that they made on this. All right, so we end on 2 big sour notes. First one is we get to revisit that crappy animation in order to show you that Yondu really was a good guy, and he did love Peter, which this was in the past. So, Yondu redemption arc and touching moment with him and Peter at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Irrelevant. Completely negated the impact of that event. And I see this a lot, not just with Marvel, but some other franchises as well. It's very lazy, it's very bad writing, and it's very insulting. And what it is they give you an emotional payoff in, a TV episode or a film, then later contradict or retcon it because they figure they've already gotten the emotional punch out of you. And the writers aren't smart enough and good enough to write with that, so they write not even around that, but they write instead of that. And that's where it breaks down. And then the second thing is hey, it's Marvel. You got a post-credit scene, and James Gunn did announce that there'd be a big, huge surprise. And so let's see it. And it's it's Groot as a Christmas tree being decorated by Rocket and Cosmo. That's it. And I guess the big surprise that Gunn was going on about was Mantis being Peter's sister. See a couple minutes ago for yawn. So there it is, in a nutshell. The Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I will definitely say it wasn't as bad as the Star Wars holiday special. And again, what is? However, it really did not do the Guardians justice, and didn't, I think, really do much to drive people to go see 3, when it comes out. And it really, and okay, I was about to say, and I'd heard other criticisms about this, that it also didn't set anything up for the future of MCU and didn't have anything in it. And I think now what we're seeing is that the special presentations that Marvel's doing, so far it's been Werewolf by Night and this, are just not going to have really strong ties or set up anything for the main continuity of the Marvel MCU, which is fine, especially with something like Werewolf by Night, which was utterly amazing, but had characters that we had never been introduced before, and so we didn't really know where they fell into the MCU. But when you're doing something with the Guardians of the Galaxy, a core tenet and component of the MCU, it is a best a wasted chance, and at worst silly, that you would not use this to promote something of the broader MCU. And they chose not to. What do you guys think about that and everything else? Please let me know in the comment section below.